One of the most pressing and widely discussed questions ahead of the upcoming Formula One Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungaroring circuit concerns the performance of Ferrari's recently introduced and much talked about rear suspension system. This newly developed component, which was officially debuted by the Maranello-based team last weekend during the Belgian Grand Prix at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, has already been thoroughly examined in multiple analyses. Experts have looked closely at how this upgrade has altered certain dynamic characteristics of the SF-25 car and at the specific technical areas targeted by the team of engineers operating from Ferrari's headquarters in Maranello. Nevertheless, a key question remains unanswered. Has this completely redesigned rear suspension truly delivered the anticipated gains in performance? Last weekend offered only limited insights, and the Hungaroring round will now serve as a more revealing and accurate benchmark. At the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, the first indications of progress and improvement linked to Ferrari's new rear suspension system were observable, but only in a partial and somewhat limited form. The Hungarian circuit, officially known as the Hungaroring and located just outside Budapest, is expected to serve as a far more reliable and revealing testbed. This is largely due to the technical nature of the track, which is characterized by being what Formula One engineers describe as a rear-limited circuit. In such circuits, the configuration places greater stress and aerodynamic load on the rear axle of the car, making rear grip and stability key performance factors. All the teams competing on the Formula One grid will be forced to shift their car's balance more toward the rear of the vehicle, and it is precisely in that area where the effectiveness of Ferrari's rear suspension innovation should become more visible and measurable. The core objective of Ferrari's upgrade is twofold. First and foremost, to achieve improved and more consistent control over the car's ride height. Secondly, to provide the engineers and technicians with a broader and more flexible range of setup options. With more accurate management of the vertical distance between the underside of the car and the track surface, the Ferrari SF-25 could operate closer to the ideal reference plane, corresponding to the optimal ride height that was originally targeted and defined during the design and development phase of the car. Maintaining this ride height is essential, as it has a direct and significant impact on enhancing the effectiveness of the aerodynamic load generated by the Venturi channels located beneath the floor of the single-seater. Only if that fundamental prerequisite is achieved can Ferrari then fully access the second benefit, the so-called broader operating window. This term refers to a car that becomes more versatile and allows for a wider range of setup solutions. With such adaptability, the SF-25 can be finely tuned to suit a wide variety of circuit layouts, from high-speed tracks to more technical and twisty venues. The main goal is not necessarily to increase mechanical grip or pure traction alone, but rather to optimize the entire aeromechanical package of the car. This integrated approach enables Ferrari to extract the absolute maximum performance potential from the SF-25 under different conditions. The SF-25 single-seater is still seeking setup consistency and balance, considering the necessary compromises. Naturally, from an engineering and design standpoint, every new component or system modification involves certain trade-offs and compromises. At the Hungarian Grand Prix, it will be especially important to assess whether the Ferrari SF-25 can deliver improved traction and performance during corner exits, and more crucially, through medium-speed corners where maintaining stable aerodynamic consistency is vital. Since the beginning of the 2025 Formula One season, it has become evident that shifting the car's balance more toward the rear has generally benefited the SF-25. For example, at the Bahrain Grand Prix and again at the Monaco Grand Prix, this approach contributed directly to podium finishes. Work will also continue to focus on braking stability and ride height control, two technical areas that Ferrari team principal Frédéric Vasseur has repeatedly identified as being crucial to unlocking the full potential of the new rear suspension layout. A particularly illustrative moment came during qualifying at the Belgian Grand Prix when Lewis Hamilton spun off the track. This episode made it clear that the team is still in the process of fine-tuning the optimal balance between static and dynamic braking forces. It underlined that the development and experimentation phase for this upgraded suspension is still ongoing and far from complete. One additional encouraging aspect for Ferrari is the reduced need for setup compromises, which has historically been a weakness of the SF-25. This is significant because earlier in the 2025 Formula One season, one of the most glaring problems faced by the Maranello team was the car's inability to find a stable and effective balance on circuits that feature a wide variety of corner types. Based on simulations and predictions, the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa should have been one of the most difficult and unfavorable tracks for Ferrari. Yet the team managed to secure a podium finish. Although it is worth noting that Red Bull did not compete in entirely optimal dry weather conditions, and the performance comparison was therefore not completely equal, Ferrari's result was still a strong sign that progress is being made and that the team is moving in the right direction. Another critical and often underestimated performance factor heading into the Hungarian Grand Prix is tire management, particularly in terms of rear-end temperature control. At the Hungaroring circuit, tire degradation and management will be predominantly thermal in nature. The track surface and layout cause repeated micro-sliding at the rear axle, which can lead to the overheating of the rear tires. Therefore, managing the temperature of the tire surface will be crucial for maintaining performance levels throughout both qualifying and the race. Hitting the correct and narrow operating window for all tire compounds, soft, medium, and hard, will be an essential challenge for all the teams, including Ferrari. In this specific area, Ferrari might find themselves slightly advantaged during long stints. Throughout the 2025 Formula One World Championship, the SF-25 has typically suffered less than its main rivals when it comes to tire wear and degradation during longer runs. On the other hand, in qualifying sessions, the SF-25 has traditionally struggled to generate enough heat in the front tires, while the rear tires tend to reach optimal temperatures more rapidly. This thermal imbalance, or thermal asynchrony, between the front and rear axles has often been a challenge. Therefore, a key performance factor at the Hungaroring will be the team's ability to properly balance tire temperatures across both axles, avoiding the type of thermal mismatch that can deprive the driver of grip during flying laps in qualifying and ultimately compromise lap time. In summary, the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungaroring represents a potentially pivotal and defining moment for the Ferrari engineers and technicians. The technical nature of the circuit will serve as a true litmus test for the effectiveness and competitiveness of the team's new rear suspension system. It will also offer valuable insight into the Italian side's recent progress in several key performance areas, including ride height stability, aerodynamic consistency, tire behavior, rear-end grip, and overall car balance. If the suspension indeed proves to be a success under the unique demands of the Hungaroring, it could mark a turning point in Ferrari's 2025 Formula One season, offering new hope for future podium finishes and improved consistency against McLaren, who unfortunately remains the favorite in this 14th round of the Formula One Championship, and most likely for the entire second part of the season.